Hey, what's good, YouTube? Welcome back to AP Entertainment, and for a lot of you, hopefully, welcome for the first time. I am AP, and this is the spoiler discussion for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Now, if you didn't see my non-spoiler reaction from Out of the Theater from Thursday night, you can go ahead and check that out. I did give this movie a B+, and in this video, I'm going to be going through the plot a little bit, saying my positives and negatives to kind of back up that grade. Now, if you're new, and you like the Discord, you like the discussion, go ahead and help me out. Give me a like and a subscribe. I'd really appreciate it. You'll be able to jump right in the comments, which is my favorite part. I love talking to y'all in the comments about what you think. I'm recording this on Sunday of opening weekend around noon, and the box office is already at $282 million with a budget of $250, so we're already over the budget number. Obviously, with marketing, that $250 is going to be more like $450. But this movie's off to a good start. It looks like it might even hit the 300s after they get all the Sunday night box office in. And the Rotten Tomatoes update, we got an 81 from the critics and 95 from the audience. So everyone's digging this movie. Again, I loved it. It was very entertaining. My favorite Marvel movie since Endgame. So I'll start with some negatives. Again, a B+, not a perfect score. And the first negative is actually something that I understand. They basically had two ways to make this movie. The first option was they have the plot be linked into the MCU. They have it have to do with Phase 5 or Phase 4 in the multiverse and tie it into something that's happened. Or they can make a self-contained Guardian story that really didn't have much to do with the MCU at all. It's James Gunn's final Marvel movie. He's off to DC. And as far as, this iteration of Guardians of the Galaxy, this is marketed at least as the last one. So I actually support that they did the second option. I think trying to make the last Guardians movie tie into what is now a trash MCU story, it would have been even weaker than this is. So what I mean by a weak plot is this movie only happens because Rocket Raccoon gets hurt. Literally the entire movie stems off of that. And they're trying to save him. That screams, oh, we need to make a sequel. What's the story going to be? That being said, once they just let us know from the start that's what was going on here, I was thoroughly entertained and really enjoyed being with these characters throughout these missions. I don't want to compare it too much to the movie I'm about to bring up because it is a lot better than this movie, but it had the vibes of, I'm afraid to say it, Rise of Skywalker. In the sense that in the first 5 minutes, they straight tell you what's about to happen for really no reason. And then it's just kind of boom, 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 boom. The movie just goes. So when I compare this movie to Rise of Skywalker, I'm really just talking about the style. Obviously, the execution was very different. Another thing I didn't love, and really is because a lot of times it slowed down the plot, but the forced romance between Peter and Gamora, and I know it's not forced because they used to be together, but you have to remember, we have Infinity War came out 5 years ago, and Guardians 2 came out 6 years ago. So they're referencing stuff that's that old, while we've been with these characters a lot since then. So it just kind of, I got bringing it up like once or twice. But it just, to me, they focus on it a couple too many times, like Peter being disappointed with who Gamora was and not really understanding that she really is a different person. I mean, the Gamora he's talking to never met any of them yet. I don't know, I understand what they were doing with that. They wanted to close that arc, but for me, it was just a little too much at times. Another small thing, it wasn't really a negative, it's just they bothered to make that holiday special, which I watched, and this movie pretty much ignores that. It starts and Peter's depressed and drunk again. Them kidnapping Kevin Bacon never happened to make him happy. That holiday special ended with all of them being happy and whatnot, and now he's just depressed again. So I guess they just assumed a lot of people probably didn't see the holiday special, so it was kind of ignored. Maybe it's not even canon. I don't know. So that's another little thing that bothered me a little bit, but not really, because again, I understand why they had to do that. General aesthetic things that I loved. The movie looked beautiful. You could tell that this was a non-COVID movie. This movie, the CG was tight. It was a grand scale. It looked like a classic pre-COVID movie to me. So that was nice. I saw this in a Regal RPX theater, so if it looked cheap, I would have been able to tell. I dug the team suits, you know, last movie, last go around. They gotta be looking like a squad. I appreciated that. Everyone looked a little different. I mean, Peter's hair was a little different. Obviously, Groot was in his fourth stage. He wasn't old Groot or baby or teenage Groot. I guess he was, you know, young 20s Groot. Gamora's hair was different. I was digging it. My wife likes making fun of me because I think the most attractive Marvel character is Gamora, and she always says, "But she's green." Fair enough, but I dig it. All right, so let's start working through this plot. Obviously, Adam Warlock rolls up deep very early, starts wreaking havoc, whips everyone's ass. And I'm not gonna lie, with all the speculation that, you know, someone was gonna die in this movie, if not multiple characters, I thought it was about to happen right then and there because he was not playing games. And of course, this is a character that was teased in the last Guardians movie, again, 6 years ago. But you saw him in the cocoon with his mother because the Guardians heisted his mother at the beginning of the movie. So we knew that they would be involved somewhat, but at least from what I remember, the whole high evolutionary guy that was brought in new for this story. No one dies, but Rocket Raccoon, again, does get severely injured. And then we learn about his backstory. He's got the auto kill in his heart. And then we start having the flashbacks from his character. Now, I will say at first, the flashbacks I found to be very interesting. I know it's triggering a lot of people. Triggered probably not the right word because seeing baby animals get messed with deserves to be triggered. I guess, you know, it's definitely a little hard to watch, but, you know, they are CG at least, so it wasn't like real animals getting messed up. By the way, speaking of animals, I loved the whole bit with Cosmo, the golden retriever, and Sean Gunn's character being a bad dog. I thought that was really funny. And I loved the payoff at the end, which we all knew it was coming eventually, but it was a fun part of the movie. In general, this movie was really fun. I mean, it was everything a fan would want from these characters, in my opinion. Speaking of jokes, I think the hardest I might have laughed, I can't remember the exact words, but there was a sexual innuendo joke in the very beginning. There was something about giving, I think it was Rocket, the magic touch. And Groot stepped in, and then everyone reacted to what Groot said, and, you know, in the Guardians fashion, it was very funny. I was laughing out loud in the theater multiple times during this movie for sure. So we finally learned why Rocket Raccoon was turned into a super animal. It was always pretty vague in the past. We just know that it happened. We didn't really know why or by who. And, man, we meet the High Evolutionary. We learn about his motives and what drives him. And, man, that was a hell of an acting performance. That villain meant business. He was bout it. They never really explained how he had his powers. I guess that's a negative I didn't really consider out the theater. But man, he was about that life. So, you know, seeing him meet his other animal friends, that was pretty nice. The baby raccoons were too cute. I never looked at a raccoon in a cute way before, but this movie, at least the CG baby raccoons were pretty cute. So we're off and running. The plot is in motion. And we learned that Adam Warlock is working for the High Evolutionary, so he's got a bunch of people out here trying to get Rocket Raccoon back, but we do not yet know why. Of course, later in the movie, we learn it's because Rocket is very intelligent, and he wants to be able to study his brain so that he can make his perfect world. So, you know, once you actually got into the plot, that's solid. And it kept everything moving. It was just the reason why it happened again was a little weak. Of course, our team, we got everyone but one OG member. And we have to go get Gamora from somewhere. And we find out that she's hanging out with Rocky, a.k.a. Sylvester Stallone. And she has become a Ravager. You know, I thought that was an interesting decision. We needed a way to get her back into the squad somehow. So it was a pretty easy way. And it turns out the Ravagers actually are going to help with the mission as the Guardians head for Orgacorp. Yes. Sorry, I had to look at my notes. You know, the planets in these movies, it's impossible for me to remember. So they get to this planet because they got to figure out how to deactivate the kill switch on Rocket. So we're on to Orga and we got more classic funny Guardians moments. Peter's trying to use his charm on the clerk worker, and Gamora's like, freak this, and we're guns blazing. And then once they actually get into the city, we see them dump their space suits accidentally out into space. James Gunn is a fool, man. The stuff he writes is pretty funny. And then we feed off this again. We finally get the information we need, and Peter uses his charm. It works, and then he reveals to Gamora, hey, I'm not that stupid. I had this all planned. I'll take this, thank you very much. And we're out of here. Then, of course, we are off to counter Earth. We land on a very strange planet. We got animals walking around like humans everywhere. I'm thinking to myself, this doesn't necessarily look like a perfect society, but we'll see what's going on here. Of course, we learn that this has been a failed experiment by the High Evolutionary so far, and he wants Rocket's brain to try to, basically he's going to kill everyone, or all the beings, and starts from scratch. More very funny scenes as the Guardians land on the planet. The pig lady welcomes them into her home. There's some very funny dialogue with trying to communicate with her. Drax on the couch, I'd say, is the second hardest I laughed on this movie. As a couch lawyer, I can relate. And I feel him. I was like, hey, you know, what is it here for? But obviously you can't be laying on a couch in some random person's house. So that was another great bit. This is a movie straight out of the mind of James Gunn. There is no doubt about it. Of course, through the flashbacks, we learned that Rocket is the one that figured out how to speed up the life process of these animals and have them not be super aggressive, which is another reason why the High Evolutionary values him. He's like, you're the only person who's able to figure this out. And it's kind of nice because it backs up all of his talents from past movies. Thought it really built his character up from the previous versions. So we're getting closer and closer to the climax of the film. Nebula tells Drax and Mantis to stay by the ship. Of course, Drax does not listen. He feels like something's bad's about to happen, which he's right. And he tricks Mantis to get on the motorcycle. Of course, they roll up to Nebula once she finds out that the planet's about to be blown up. More laughs. The whole movie is a combination of the team being split up into groups and the team coming back together. The team being split up into groups, the team coming back together. In my non-spoiler review, I likened it to, you know, Star Wars New Hope versus Empire Strikes Back. It's both of those in the same movie. So Peter and Groot are the ones that end up facing off against the High Evolutionary at first. I appreciated that. Groot is my favorite Guardians character, so seeing him just like he be the muscle for Peter, no other members, just them two going up against this dude, I thought that was cool. Planet blows up, ship's taken off, everything goes to hell. Nebula, Drax, and Mantis try to save Peter and Rocket, not knowing that they have already gotten off of the ship. Again, more classic Guardians moments, very funny, laughing again. But High Evolutionary does end up getting waxed by Rocket. We get all the kids off the ship, we get all the animals off the ship. And the movie's pretty much over. Mission complete, happy ending. I'm not going to get too much into where everyone leaves off. I'm actually going to make another video about where everyone is left off and the future of these characters. But that's my quick spoiler rundown of the film. I'm sure there's a lot of things I liked that I didn't bring up. One popped in my head was that epic fight scene getting off of the, what was it? The name of this planet's killing me. Orga. I think it was when they were getting off Orga. The slow motion fight scene in the tunnel. Badass. Very nicely done. I have not bought a Marvel movie since Endgame. I think this might be the one. I might have to cop the 4K for this one. I really enjoyed watching it. And I have the first Guardians on Blu-ray, so it'll go nicely with that. All the actors did their thing, man. Like I said in my non-spoiler review, you can tell they all love these characters. No one phoned it in. I really appreciated that. So yeah, that's my quick spoiler rundown. Let me know in the comments what you guys thought of this movie. Throw your grades out there. Again, it's a B+ for me. Let me know what you liked. Let me know what you didn't like, and I'll definitely get back to you. Again, if you want more, subscribe to the channel. I got more stuff coming. I got more stuff in the past. So thanks again for joining me, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.